cider and a switchblade knife. Ride the dog on his motorbike. Looking for legends on the Sunset Strip with a stone cold paranormal partnership. That's what town Rick tried to sell me some crack. Listen to the podcast, man, and take that shit back. It's Urban Legends, the podcast about urban legends. And here your host, Neil and Chris. You'll receive our pod in your ears tonight.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Urban Legends, the podcast about all things mysterious and unusual from around the globe and beyond. It is the internet's largest urban legends podcast by volume. I am Chris Flynn, one of your hosts, and this cheeky little fella is my co-host, Mr.
Neil Herbert. How are we all doing?
I'm doing all right, Neil. I
myself.
just had a packet of Wotsits, which is
lovely.
like Cheetos if you're from other countries.
Well, I would say flavour-wise, yes. It's kind of a bit more. If you imagine that packing material you sometimes see,
Polystyrene pellets things.
It's basically those made out of like cornstarch, isn't it? But then they just flavour them with. Well, you can get different flavours, can't you? Cheese was the traditional one, cheesy Wotsits.
That's what I was having.
Very cheesy. Flaming hot isn't bad.
Flaming hot goods. So I was
prawn cocktail ones I had the other day, Chris.
Very nice.
Wotsits, imagine that.
I can imagine it. It tastes like vinegar and ketchup.
Yeah, pretty much.
I don't normally do this, but I was bored, so I was reading the back of the packet, and something caught my eye.
Oh, nice.
And it had, "Are you a cruncher or are you a melter?" Like, so presumably how you eat it, because you can melt or you crunch, right? And it got me to thinking, Neil, right?
Yeah, definitely crunching myself.
Yeah, I'm
rattling down my fat gob.
Yeah, exactly. You know, no time for chewing.
No.
You're a swallower.
Yeah. a boa constrictor.
An inhaler.
Yeah.
But it got me thinking, right, advertisers they've been doing this for ages, haven't they? They've been going, like, are you this or are you this? Like,
I recall there was like, in the
Marmite
80s, there was...
Do it, don't they?
Chicken nuggets, I think, were one of the early ones that did this kind of stuff.
Yes, nugs. Right. What did they do?
It was like, are you a dipper or a dunker? So I think the ways you did... I think they made up stuff that nobody would ever do. So one of them was like, will you dip it in? So it was all about how you interacted with the sauce.
Right.
And one was like, you just give it a little dip. Another one was you just put it in. And then there was another one where you just sort of
leave that in your mouth and then have the nugs.
To brew in some, like, I don't know.
Yeah, do you boil them in the sauce?
Well, no, it's like you just leave it lying in there for like 10 minutes until it gets nice and cold, and then
that's what you meant to do.
Yeah, the ideal way to consume.
And there's the Marmite thing, which is like, you either love it or hate it. I'll be honest with you, I think it's okay. I don't love it or hate it. I'll eat it, but do you think
literally people use the phrase Marmite as a definition of things?
Yes, I know. And it's like, like with pineapple on pizza.
I don't see the big problem. It wouldn't be my first choice, but people who get really arsy about that, it's just like,
but it's
you
weird.
Don't have to eat it. Just fuck off. Policing other people's tastes is something I find quite odd.
No, but advertisers kind of got into it. Like, that's, it kind of trying to provoke discussion around the water cooler about.
Well, it's that whole thing, isn't it? If you literally can do that, like if you can, get a bit of viral discussion, something
but
like that.
Is this how the culture all started now? Because it feels like it feels like the politicians went, well,
started with crisps and they decided to use it for racism instead.
That seems to work, so let's start doing that.
So let's use that for a bit of white nationalism. Yeah.
So what we're saying is the now owners of Marmite, Unilever, who are still trading in Russia, by the way, are partially responsible for the culture wars.
They're like FIFA, Chris. They're just trying to.
Something else. Unilever. They've
politics out of capitalism.
Because of greedflation, they've just posted record profits.
Yeah.
So they're in Russia.
What any company should be doing.
They're in Russia. They started the culture wars, and they're also profiteering because of a cost of living crisis.
I'm just going to have a look at my Unilever shares. Yeah, brilliant. Buy some more of those.
So, I don't know. Like, what are we saying? Like maybe think on Unilever. Is that what it is? What am I just a loser flailing about in my pit of sorrow? Am I
just a lib cuck? Just whinging because you don't know how the word works.
I've got lib cuck tattooed across my belly where I used to have thug life.
Yeah,
and it changed in respect to Tupac.
Oh, well, fair enough.
So Neil, how's your?
He'd be a cuck these days, wouldn't he?
Oh yeah, like
he'd be. No, I'm not saying he would personally be. I'm saying he'd be being denigrated as such by certain people.
They would consider his conscience rapping to be cuckish. Yeah,
bit too far left.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm centre, Chris.
You're centre.
I just like to hear things out,
In some ways,
maybe
I feel
Hitler
like
had some good ideas. I'm just saying, let's just listen to them.
In some ways, I feel like the Overton window's been slightly shut.
This guy's got about 100 miles to the right fairly recently, but so recently.
So Neil, how are you? What have you been up to? Been up to anything fun? Been looking for any pets or anything recently?
Oh no! Don't bring up my stick insect shame again.
I'm not talking about that.
No, I don't want to. Don't bring up my dog corpse shame again.
No, we won't talk about it. I promise I wouldn't bring that up. How's your pirate radio station going? Fresh out of Port Slade.
I mean, it kind of just seems a bit pointless because you can just do it all through podcasts and stuff these days, didn't you? So. Yeah, I don't know. Some of the young up and comers, some of the young DJs from Port Slade, they're
EDM music, isn't it?
Yeah,
EDM and drill.
Yeah, EDM and drill and bit of trap. Bit of other things that are probably years out of date. I've got no idea what I'm referencing.
Bit of dubstep.
I don't know anything about modern music. I'm pretty sure dubstep's probably gone the way. Is that the Skrillex's?
Yeah.
That's
Skrillex, not Skrillex.
Yeah, whatever.
I'm telling Mr. Skrillex.
He should be called Skrillex. That's a stupid haircut.
I don't know what he looks like.
I don't know what he looks like these days, to be honest with you.
Just assume that he's got a stupid haircut, do you?
Well, he's sort of got like half a haircut. He's kind of like long on one side, and he's like buzz cut on the left-hand side, and then like blonde.
That's cyberpunk.
You'd love that, wouldn't you?
That's the future. We did a whole series based on being cyberpunk. What's your problem?
It doesn't mean I have to like it.
You've dropped it now, have you?
Yeah. Well out of it.
Went
to a hotel when I was on holiday not that long ago. There was a guy you would have liked. I don't know if I mentioned this, Tom. I don't think I did.
No.
So he had like some quite, I can describe as cyberpunky glasses. Effectively, he'd taken like a coat hanger and wrapped it around the frame.
What?
I don't know how else to describe it, Chris. He had some glasses. They were like black, really thick rims.
Yeah.
And he like wrapped wire, thick wire all around. It looked like he'd taken a coat hanger and just kind of like turned it into a.
So he just kind of he just looped wire around
all around the sort of frames. Yeah, it wasn't going through the lenses or anything, but it was just kind of.
Oh, okay.
It was a look I'm sure you'd like to adopt.
Who was this guy?
He was just like the concierge at the hotel.
He worked there.
Yeah, he was on the desk.
How many complaints did you put in?
Oh no, I've to TripAdvisor. He's been review bombed into the ground.
Has he been reviewed out of a job yet?
This thing is a nice hotel actually, and he was all right, but that kind of like that didn't sit well with me.
That's what you said on TripAdvisor, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Nice hotel. Unfortunately, the concierge just didn't sit well with me. He's flagrant disregard for glasses etiquette.
His,
as a glasses wearer, I found it culturally insensitive
Yeah,
for
I did.
for him to put wire around his glasses. As someone both who wears glasses and whose grandfather used to make wire, I find this culturally insensitive.
Yeah, it was pretty distressing. That's all I can say.
Yeah, got any more? Like, is that your best story from the trip?
That's about as exciting as it got.
Apart from your meat soup.
Oh yeah, with meat soup, where we covered that, didn't we, on the pod? But
We did.
Yeah. No,
Lovely.
Good food in Central Europe. But anyway, yeah. So I can't remember where we started on that, but
Your pirate radio station.
I got bored of that instantly.
You're bored of it?
Yeah.
Oh well, doesn't all fly.
But then, you know, you got to try these things, Chris, and then sort of like, yeah, I don't interest you. Move on to something else.
Yeah. All right then. So what are we talking about today, Neil?
Right. Well, I'll tell you what,
Mr. Difficult.
Oh.
Half the job improv.
Adversarial night here.
Yeah, you fucking riled me up.
Oh, there we go. Let's maybe inject a bit of energy into the pod this week.
I doubt it. I'm already getting tired.
I've used
all the adrenaline's knackered me out.
Yeah, that short-lived boost is just
have a little sleep.
Fired out your synapses. Yeah, I used to have a little snooze. So the Hawkesbury River Monster.
I'm having my what's it crash.
Oh yeah. Blood sugar's going down through the floor. Yeah. Anyway, the Hawkesbury River Monster. So
Hawkesbury River Monster.
So we're in Australia.
Oh dear.
One of our favourite places.
Where the monsters
I've never
are.
been. You have, haven't you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Where the monsters live.
I have family in Australia.
But they don't want to see you.
Not really, no. we met when she came over to England, but
that was my convenience so she had somewhere to stay.
Yeah.
never got a return invite. It's weird.
Well, there you go.
Where do they live in Australia?
Melbourne now. So I used to live in Perth, but now they're in Melbourne. Yeah, well, I think we're on the outskirts rather than the centre. It's become very pricey, I believe, Melbourne.
Just Melbourne. Why do you say Melbourne?
Or Melbourne, whatever.
Come on, man. This is your language. That's like an American trying to say it.
Edinburgh.
I don't know
why I'm pronouncing it like that. No, well, it's just as a thing with my generally mispronouncing things on the podcast. Melbourne, yeah, no, it's supposed to be quite.
It's meant to be a nice city, Melbourne.
Like that,
yeah, it's meant to be quite European. It's kind of people prefer it to Sydney now, I think.
Yeah, I imagine the weather's a bit cooler in Melbourne as well. I don't know. It's a bit more of a piece, but yeah, Sydney I imagine is quite hot. Know somebody I went to school with who lives out in Sydney now. He got a job with an insurance company or something like that. I don't know if you remember, there was a little spate of Australian companies recruiting English people about 10 years back.
No, they didn't try and get me, so
yeah, didn't tap me up either. But I think it depended on. No, I think it was where there was. I think there was if you had an Australian parent company. So
okay,
we were both in the public sector at that point. But anyway. Hawkesbury River Monster. So it's
they are of course tapping up a lot of our public sector workers, aren't they? Or doctors and nurses and stuff.
Well, yeah, another excellent sort of long game being played out by our government there. Mind you, it's that whole thing, isn't it? Because it's kind of like no matter how badly they screw up, they always end up landing on their feet. But like, that's fine. We'll just replace it with the private sector, so it'll be worse and more expensive.
I mean, now's not the time to discuss
really not get into it,
ideology behind neoconservatism. Let's just say, not a fan.
Yeah.
So,
not out of 10.
Paul Hawkesbury's River Monster.
Hawkesbury River Monster. So it's like an Aussie Nessie, basically.
Okay. So marks out of 10.
Yeah. Obviously, that's pretty much covered it. We'll go through. So this is Strange Nature Australia blogspot. This is from 2012. The Hawkesbury River Monster, What Lies Beneath. This is by Ruby Lang. So we'll be going through this article. There's another one.
Good on you, Ruby.
Nice one, Ruby. Yeah, apologise again to our Australian friends and listeners for the inevitable fact that we're going to be doing.
Neil apologises. I don't.
Just don't care.
Nope.
Mate. Somewhere in the depths of the Hawkesbury River in New South Wales lurks the long-lost cousin of Nessie, the Loch Ness Monster. according to Australian naturalist Rex Gilroy.
What? Australian naturalist Max Gilroy.
Rex, as in king
Oh,
of
mate,
the
I'm Rex
naturalists.
Gilroy.
You know me, Rex?
According to him, it's the long lost cousin of Nessie, is it?
Yeah.
What he knows that
I'm just going to look up.
He knows that there's a familial link, does he?
Well, apparently.
Well,
I think he's referring to the species being related. Actually, Chris, it's probably more to.
Well, that isn't what it says.
Oh, sadly, he's passed just this year.
Well, I'm not sad if he's
So
coming out of this kind of stuff. I think the world's a better place.
Feisty boy. Eccentric, controversial, and always searching for answers. Vale Rex Gilroy. Rex Gilroy, one of the Blue Mountains' long-term residents, the most passionate and committed researcher, died 23. 8 years, though. Good innings.
Not the Blue Mountains again.
Yeah.
This is in the Yowie Man territory.
Oh, yeah. I think they're probably birds of a feather. So he had a Museum of Natural History opened at Mount York, Victoria in 65. So he'd only been 20 odd then.
It's impressive, isn't it?
Yeah.
How many museums did you have open by the time you were 20?
0.
Really?
Yeah. What, you have 3 or 4?
4.
Yeah.
Exactly 4.
He also researched reports of Yowie sightings in the Blue Mountains in the 60s. Oh, yeah, he got quite into the Yowie.
They all do, don't they?
Compiled an extensive database of Yowie sightings and encounters. Became one of the foremost authorities on the subject. I don't know that we ever actually crossed him when we did the
No,
Yowie.
we didn't.
Yeah. Despite his controversial methods, his contributions to the study of Australian cryptozoology cannot be denied.
It's controversial methods. He gets results.
Yeah.
It's massive bloodshed. What was controversial about his methods?
They don't actually explain.
Legally not allowed to.
Yeah. It's, roaming all over indigenous territory or something. No, I don't know.
Enhanced interrogation of locals.
I'm not sure. I think he's more of a cryptozoologist than a naturalist. But
yes, I would. From what you said, I would agree.
But hey-ho. Yeah, so Rex, a Katoomba-based author and head of the Australia Unknown Animals Investigation Centre, claims the beast is alive and well and using the Central Coast as a breeding ground. And he says he has hundreds of reports to prove it.
How does he know about the breeding?
Well,
is that his controversial methods?
To prove it.
Hundreds, okay.
Detailed sightings of the creature. So this is how you do science. You get somebody to tell you about a thing that they've seen, and then you record that, and then that's how your evidence builds up.
See it yourself?
Yeah. Well, I'm sure he has, in fairness. He's been out there with his binoculars. So himself and his wife, Heather, over the last 30 years, the most recent in November 2000, that had been 12 years. In recent years, there have been sightings of creatures surfacing as far up as Windsor. The latest was in the St Albans, where there's been a report of a 25 to 30-foot creature spotted swimming in the river. Some people have been out fishing, saw it swimming past the jetty where they were standing with a snake-like head about a metre or so above water.
Could it be a snake?
Yeah.
Right.
Or a gas balloon.
A gas balloon?
Stick man. I don't know, what's that one they always say with the UFO sightings? It's like some...
Weather balloon.
Just an erratic weather balloon or whatever. Yeah, I don't know, a gas balloon.
Swamp gas.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a weather balloon filled with
Chinese spy balloon.
Yeah. Descriptions of the Hawkesbury Monster liken it to the prehistoric plesiosaur, an aquatic dinosaur 70 million years extinct. Or is it? Has it evolved? According to the 57-year-old naturalist, stories about the creature in Australia date back to before the first white settlers and are part of Aboriginal folklore. So early settlers to the area during the 1800s were told stories by Aboriginals of women and children being attacked by the Moolyewonk.
That's a better name.
It's good, isn't it? Moolyewonk. Or the Mirilier. I can't pronounce that one, but the Australian
Aboriginal Frenchman.
Moolyewonk is good. The Aboriginal name for the monster. Information collected so far suggests to me that the creatures are breeding somewhere offshore and laying their eggs inland. So it's interesting that it's kind of like it goes to both Loch Ness, which I imagine is very cold most of the year round, and somewhere in not that far from Sydney, which I imagine is quite warm.
Yeah, but they're not the same creature, are they, apparently?
No, they're distant cousins, perhaps. So this would not be out of character, as they were both freshwater and saltwater breeds during the Cretaceous period, he said. They are still being seen in the Hawkesbury River, of course, which is not surprising because it's such a deep river. Actually, it's a sunken valley.
Mm.
So he's different from Tim the Yowie man because
Right.
he likes water.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's just because this is like a proper size thing, you know.
Well, that's probably how they fell out.
Yeah, that was how the band split.
Yeah, that was
friends, and then
they called it the Yowie Schism of 1978, didn't they?
They call that a river? It's nothing. Well, it's a sunken valley, mate. Pretty impressive.
Oh, I'm not going to sit here and be insulted by the likes of you.
Oh, and I'm off to see Cadbury's and probably win. Listen to old Tim the Yowie podcast for the story behind that. Sightings put the greyish black creature between 7 and 24 metres in length. At the top end of the scale, that's 5 times bigger than a great white shark, or the equivalent length of 5 Commodores parked bumper to bumper. I'm not Australian enough to understand what a Commodore parked bumper to bumper.
It's probably a ute.
You don't really a ute. I'd say 5 utes.
Or it could be
I'm going to look this up. I like Australian lingo.
It could be the combined length if you laid all of the members of the band, the Commodores.
Yeah.
That
would be an obscure reference, wouldn't that?
Foot to head.
I mean, the first Google search is Commodore's American Funk and Soul Group, so...
Mm-hmm.
Is Lionel Richie tall? I'm not really sure.
Nah. He's had a lot of work
short lad. Yeah.
Oh, she's a brick house. She's mate. Let it all hang out.
Was it great? Holden. 6 Holden Commodores to celebrate.
Holden being the Australian version of Ford.
Is that the case?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that. What is it?
Yeah.
Holden Commodore.
Neil, come on.
No, I've got to figure this out now. It looks to be just kind of like a Ford Focus.
Okay.
Kind of, you know. Anyway, so there you go.
This is an odd thing to...
It's quite a big, I don't know, that's a slightly strange, you know, it's like, well, it's the same length as 6 Ford cars parked bumper to bumper or whatever, but, you know, fair enough.
Yeah, it says, or 7 Skoda Octavias.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Oh, yeah, maybe 4 Datsun Cherries. Yeah.
Yeah, or 5 3/4 Ford Probes.
Yeah. Anyway, so like Nessie, which cryptozoologists also believe to be a plesiosaur. Is it a plesiosaur or a descendant? I wonder of a plesiosaur. The Hawkesbury or
a plesiosaur.
Plesiosaur, is that how you pronounce it?
No, I'm saying maybe
it's a
plesiosaur.
Oh, nice.
What
you done there?
Thank you.
The Hawkesbury River Monster has a large body.
Lonely nights in the sunken valleys.
Yeah, I'm trying to seduce crypto.
That's
cryptids, I think was the phrase.
That's the ultimate test of an alpha. If you can seduce a cryptid.
If you can fuck a cryptid, you are the ultimate alpha.
I believe that. Yeah, I believe that.
Zuckerberg's like 1 a week these days.
Oh yeah, he's totally alf.
Yeah, so there's a new cryptid every night.
Yep. 100%. Yeah, he's got.
He's made it with.
He's got a harem of chupacabras.
Yeah,
like all dressed up as the woman from I Dream of Jeannie.
Yeah. Or when you're a billionaire, these things are on the table.
Everything, exactly.
Don't ask me how. That's what I'm paying you for. Right? I just get it done.
There's no right or wrong. There's just limits to your imagination.
Yeah. Can't afford to worry about morals either, so let's just make it happen.
I didn't hire you.
Probably uncomfortably close to conversations that really happen. Not necessarily about.
You're a fixer.
The cryptid.
Yeah. You're a fixer. So now fix it.
Yeah, but you want to have sex with a fictitious creature. I can't really break the laws of reality. Can't you for $1 million?
Can't you? Mm.
Don't want to hear it.
Let's just say, as long as it looks right, I'm not going to be going and doing DNA tests on it, okay? Let's make it happen. Think outside the box. World's a big place. A lot of people are willing to turn a blind eye, okay?
Yeah, so basically it looks like a Nessie. And there's Aboriginal rock art in the area 3,000 or 4,000 years ago that describes the creature as about 20 foot long as well. The Aborigines are pretty observant.
Is that where they paint like pictures of Kiss and stuff?
The band Kiss?
Yeah, and their rock art.
Oh, God, I'm sorry. It took me a second to get that.
They were foretold.
Sorry, listeners.
The band Kiss, they're from the Dreamtime.
Still just take a second to dwell on that.
I don't know. It's been a while since we've done one of these.
It's fine.
I'm just saying stuff.
I'm trying to make you feel bad. Well,
you can't. Bit. You literally can't.
Yeah, literally. Shame. I don't remember what that was.
No, managed to eliminate all of those feelings in my mid.
Remove that with your tear ducts in your 20s, didn't you?
Absolutely.
Yeah. No tears, no regrets.
No questions.
City mouth a mile. We're not open to questions at this time. Again, probably another frightening conversation. Anyway, let's not. So, Aboriginal kind of area, 3 to 4 hours. Yeah, I could.
What?
How would you? I'm just thinking, like, if you were doing a cave painting, I mean, it would mostly be your man, wouldn't it? Freely. Or what was his name?
What are you talking about?
The Kiss. I'm now got
Gene Simmons
in my head, just as some prehistoric art with him with his tongue out.
A snake as a tongue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they do kind of look, yeah. Mm.
That's what I'm saying. See?
Getting more into it now.
How these things start. Your brain's slowly rewiring.
Yeah, it's now decided to live in a universe where Kiss were foretold by ancient Aborigines.
And
there's a terrible sci-fi movie in there somewhere.
And Leonard Skinner's are in a dimension at the top of a lift.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that one I do go for, yeah.
There's a lot of stuff going on.
No, it's a complicated world.
It's a complicated world. And we're just trying to help. We're just trying to take people's hands and try and lead them through it.
Just trying to see what we can do. So apparently reports of sea monsters can be found across the Pacific and around the globe. Most famous and enduring of which is Scotland's Loch Ness Monster. Do you know what? They've said Loch Ness Monster about
I know, I'm
15
really bored
times
of it.
more than...
Yeah.
So Rex said...
Talk about like to get to hanging on Nessie's coattails.
Yeah. Get your own reputation, the Hawkesbury River Monster.
Well, don't call it the Hawkesbury River Monster for a start.
Yeah, you know.
What was the other name? What's the Aboriginal name? That's better. The Moolyewonk or something.
Let's have a look. The Moolyewonk.
Moolyewonk, that's better.
So it seems to me that we have a race of creatures that are officially extinct, yet they're still with us. That's what it is. I believe it's a marine
race of creatures?
That's what he said.
I mean, is this part of his controversy?
I mean, species probably is.
Species is probably a bit...
Would be better, but yeah. I don't know. Anyway, look, he's in his 70s, bless him. He doesn't know. He's a bit confused, doesn't know what's going on. Marine reptiles, the scientists should really start taking interest in. We've got a lot of going on in our own backyard, and Australians should be investigating.
I mean, if there is going to be like hidden monsters anywhere, Australia's kind of a good place, isn't it?
I mean, it's the thing that quite amuses me where you get these kind of Australian cryptozoologists. I mean, you've got enough weird shit going on in your backyard anyway. Do you know what I mean? You've got kangaroos and duck-billed platypuses and fuck knows what else. It's kind of like you don't need to be making shit up. It all sounds made up anyway, the natural trees. And I guess that's what that goes both ways, doesn't it? Because why not? Why not have a plesiosaur in there? Well, If it's going to be anywhere, as you say, it'd be Australia, wouldn't it? I
mean, my current thinking from all my research of where a plesiosaur would be is under the Antarctic ice sheets in giant ice caves, which are filled with
they're frozen in there?
Filled with hot springs. It's actually like a biodome. And so they live in there with aliens have a base there as well.
Yeah.
And Hitler.
Yeah.
That's where they're all at.
That's where they stored his brain.
Well, and his body, and he's still alive.
Fortunately, Captain America's in there as well, so he can biff him when they both melt and
No, come
do
on.
the ongoing climate crisis.
That's a fantasy thing.
Oh yeah,
We're talking
sorry,
about real life.
I get confused sometimes.
Yeah, it is confusing, isn't it?
Reality's a bit scary. I like to treat into.
Yeah, the real Captain America, of course, is Winston Churchill.
Yeah, absolutely. as we all know,
Drunk, unpleasant Captain America.
Time for a bottle of champagne and brandy for breakfast. And then off to have a bath for 3 hours while I read some papers.
Wake me up if there's an air raid. Right.
Wake me up if the Sunderland gets any bigger. Right. So I'm just having a look now. There's the Daily Telegraph. We're for you, they claim. I think this is a local. This isn't the Our Telegraph. This is an Australian paper.
Okay.
So the Hawkesbury River could be home to Sydney's own Nessie, with one expert insisting. Yeah, again, they're going on about Nessie. So Sydney's own Nessie.
This feels really like. Do you know what? Like I don't like. I do like Australia, but this feels a bit. This is pathetic.
Yeah, this is getting a bit silly now. It's kind of like
this is getting
Australia have a bit of pride.
This is getting sat at.
The Yowie was good. The Yowie was a good story, and now it's just.
Although it was constantly called Australia's Bigfoot. So
do you know what I mean? Yeah,
come on.
Me of
that. I mean, it's a bit like. It's a bit like the kid in school who, you say you've done something over the school holidays, and then they just make something up, which is really similar, but they say it's better. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of a bit like that.
Yeah. So Sydney's own Nessie. Again, Rex Gilroy. He said recently he saw a 12-metre giant surface in the Hawkesbury River through binoculars. He saw a dark shadow with a longish neck near Wiseman's Ferry. This revelation comes just days after Google Earth images showed what appeared to be Scotland's Loch Ness Monster.
No, it didn't.
I don't remember that. I assume it's been debunked afterwards because otherwise people talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, this is about Mr. Gilroy again. He's just going on about he's been searching for them since '65. He's also known for his research on the Western Sydney panther. And he says that North South Wales.
Is that the Australian's Beast of Bodmin Moor?
Yeah. I know you've only had 200 years to come up with the culture, but you've got all that rich Aboriginal stuff you can draw on what you do here. So Yeah. And you had Moolyewonk there, and what have you done? Yeah. Australia's Nessie.
Yeah, no, it's weird. And the thing, it's got to piss this guy off, because if he's got hundreds of sightings and he's been trying to find it full time for 40 years or something, and he hasn't.
Oh yeah, man, I'm bumping into it all the fucking time. What have you been doing?
It's fucking ruined the barbecue, mate. He came out, stole all the meat.
Just riding around in the ute.
It stole all my VB. It ate all my Tim Tams. I believe you haven't fucking seen it, mate. We're all fucking sick of the bastard.
So we'd have to have a breeding
population. Wanted onto the set when we were recording Neighbours.
Yeah. It's been in Erisborough. Yeah, that's what we should do. Review footage of Neighbours, just see if it's
Got through about 20 dogs last season. I will now I will apologise to any Australian listeners.
Oh,
now I will. Now I will.
You've gone too far. Okay.
Yeah. Now I feel the regret starting to kick in.
Yeah. So we'd have to have a breeding population no less than 300 to 600. He said we're dealing with ocean creatures.
How many?
300 to 600.
That to him is the breeding population. And what's he based?
No less than 300 to 600 for it to survive this long. So we're dealing with ocean creatures coming into the river to breed. There are areas of ocean. Anything could live down there, and you wouldn't know it. Yeah, anything.
It could live in the underwater city of Flontar.
Well, anything. So after hearing of the monster in '65, we've had accounts dating back to pre-colonial times with stories told of children being attacked by the Moolyewonk. When fishing boats were overturned and the occupants missing in the '80s, the Hawkesbury monster was the prime suspect.
Prime suspect.
That's some lazy police work, isn't it?
That is some terrible police work.
That's probably a Moolyewonk.
That's some turning a blind eye.
Yeah, no, I think his brother murdered him because they were like really financially.
Yeah.
Nah, it's Moolyewonk.
Moolyewonk.
Classic Moolyewonk. Someone's.
Yeah, that's someone who's in the pocket of the insurance company, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, we don't pay out for Moolyewonks. Sorry, mate.
Sorry, cryptids. There's no. Yeah, and then repeats again that there's rock art depicting them. Well, that's pretty much, to be honest with you. I mean, the only thing I've got is I'll have a quick look. There's a museum, features of myth and legend at the Hawkesbury Regional Museum. There's a fact sheet here they hand out to the kids. So since the time of early white settlement, tales have been told of a mysterious creature, a giant water serpent in the Hawkesbury River. This is many people believing that the Hawkesbury has its very own Loch Ness Monster again.
They should sue.
Yeah.
Nessie should.
Yeah, Aboriginals have cave paintings that look like plesiosaurs. Could they have witnessed them? Moolyewonk have a long neck, flippers, and distinctive grey colour. Other sightings have been documented and debunked over the years, including what was believed to be a plesiosaur washed up on Moores Beach, California in 1925, and a monster called off of the Japanese fishing nets off the coast of New Zealand in 1977. First was later thought to be a decomposed Bard's whale, and the second, the decomposed remains of a basking shark. So that's kind of, yeah, there's not a lot else on there, really. I mean, it's pretty much just constantly saying, yeah, we've got our own Loch Ness Monster. It's all right, isn't it? And there's one chap who's pretty keen to... hundreds of sightings, Chris. Do you think there's probably hundreds of sightings of the Loch Ness Monster, I'd imagine? And you've got some of those photos and things.
I'm just going to have a look at some pictures here. So... Yeah, inconclusive. Ooh. So, just as an aside, just a picture came up. Swansea sea monster revealed as Pike Eel. But that could well be it. Like, look at the
pike. A lot
pike.
of them do seem to be. Let's have a look, Pike Eel. A lot of them do turn out to be eels, don't they?
Yeah, they can be huge eels as well. I think it's a pike eel. Solved. Done.
Oh, there you go. Well, yeah, that's pretty decent sized.
Yeah.
I got on the wrong side of that.
Well, you don't know. It could be. Don't judge a book by its cover, Neil. How many times do I have to tell you?
More than the amount that you've told me, apparently.
Apparently goes in one ear and out the other.
Like so much that you
Which
say.
is weird because you've got 7 sets of ears, and again is conclusive proof not to judge a book by its cover.
Well,
because you've got 7 sets of ears, but you refuse to listen.
Yeah. And on that note.
So
I think we'll move on to schools. Yeah, there isn't a lot more to say, but yeah.
I think it's
sorry, Australia, you've let yourself down a little bit there. It's a little bit, once I would go up to the 15th sighting of the Loch Ness Monster in your,
I think what people are seeing is a pike eel, to be honest. That's my conclusion. But who knows, Neil? I'm no naturalist, that's for sure.
You ain't a naturalist.
I ain't a naturalist. I'm not anything really, am I? What am I?
No.
Some guy.
Just a little fellow with a microphone.
Questionably some guy.
Yeah.
So, all right then, Neil, let's go through our scoring system. Spookiness.
It's not really a spooky one. Yeah, it just ain't. It's unless you find ancient dinosaurs spooky, which I don't. Yeah,
you don't find dinosaurs spooky.
Like a T-Rex knocking about, that'd be
scary,
I suppose.
Scary rather than spooky.
It's not really spooky, is it? It's not spine tingling. It's the problem with these kind of cryptid ones. They're not. Yeah, they don't really.
Some
don't rank
are more spooky than others.
Yeah, it depends on what they are, but they don't tend to rank so much on the spooky scale. So yeah, it's a 2 for me. It's not. There's nothing inherently kind of like skin crawling about the fact of a large marine reptile, even if you believe it.
So I guess if you're out in the river and you're on your own, like if something prehistoric popped its head up, was looking at you, I think that could be quite spooky, scary.
Fascinating, to be honest with you, but yeah.
Well, you don't know, do you? Like if it's going to attack you or whatever. That's where the spook comes in.
Could be a dual situation.
You don't know the diet. You don't know its intention. And you know what? Not knowing intent, isn't that the spookiest of all now? The answer, of course, is no. So I'm going to give it a 3.
Excellent.
Believability. So I believe that people are seeing something, and I believe they're seeing a pike eel. I don't really believe in the Loch Ness Monster either. No. I think, it's very unlikely that anything that size has survived from the prehistoric age. I would say we do have prehistoric stuff. That's fine.
Yeah, crocodiles and things.
Crocodiles and that. Ferns, the plants, ferns.
Down the bottom of the ocean, I'm sure there's lots more. But
dragonflies.
To survive in fresh water seems a little bit less likely.
So I don't think so. But I do think that people are seeing something. So that will get some believability. I don't believe that it's the creature that some people are claiming it to be. But yeah, so 8 believability. Neil.
Yeah, quite high for me as well, because although I don't believe that it's what people are saying it is potentially a plesiosaur or a descendant of that or whatever necessarily. It's at least it's based on sort of a real thing. If there has been hundreds of sightings, people obviously do, not necessarily loads, but people do believe in that something's out there. So I'm going to give it a 7.
7. Okay, narrative premise.
It's not lots on here really. What's really like is going to come a cropper is it's living in the shadow of Nessie too much. So it's doomed to be just like a poor cousin of.
So what's happened is because of
to figure out their own branding.
Well, it's because the amount of people from these Fair Isles that have inhabited Australia, they're a bit Anglophilic about it, whereas it would be better if they went with the Aboriginal version.
Yeah, I think. Call it a Moolyewonk. Should have led with Moolyewonk, much better. But so I think if you leaned, I don't know. I think. Well, no, I'll tell you what you could do. I'm going to raise it up slightly here. I don't know if you've seen that new Predator movie, Chris.
No.
So it's really good, and what they've done is they've gone back, sort of like, and done one sort of hundreds of years ago, and it's hunting an Indigenous American. So it's kind of like that's the sort of story, but it's quite cleverly done. And I think you could do a similar. I think if you could do like a story or a film where it was like back 4,000 years ago, it was just like Aborigines trying to hunt a Moolyewonk or something.
Does the Indigenous American win?
Yes. Yeah, she's like a Comanche or something.
You would have thought that the Predators would have learnt their lesson.
Well, yeah, that's the. I think it's a slightly earlier version of the Predator as well, because it's kind of like it's not got all the same gadgets, but yeah.
But maybe but they're hunters, aren't they? That's what they do. They're trophy hunters, so maybe that's why they come back, because man is the most deadly of prey.
Well, exactly, and I think they're supposedly it's a bit like the whole thing is like a safari thing, isn't it? They try and have a quote unquote fair fight, while not being particularly fair, but
by being invisible and that's totally fair.
Well, yeah, no, exactly. But that's what I was saying. It's kind of like where you have modern hunters are like,
fair fight. Yeah,
exactly.
I managed to bag a lion, and all I had was this sniper rifle.
An SUV. Yeah,
all I had was this 50 caliber Gatling gun.
Yeah. That will go on. I mean, I could say tasteful as well, isn't it? Having like a fucking lion's head on your wall or whatever.
It's lovely.
Dead animal. Beautiful.
Wonderful.
Anyway, I forgot where I was going with that. But anyway, so like that, I would sort of, I think the narrative premise, if you said it during, Aboriginal, time it was Aboriginal, sort of like involved in the story. I think there's a bit there, and the fact that they'd spotted it. So I'm going to give it a 4 based on that.
Yeah. So not a lot going for it since colonisation, and people just go, "Oh, it's our Loch Ness Monster." But the Aboriginal stuff more interesting. The fact that it's depicted as on cave art and that kind of thing. I'm more interested in that side of it, and I'd like to hear what their story about it was, rather than just people banging on about it being like Loch Ness Monster. So I don't think we've got the full story, and I'd be interested to know what the Aboriginal legends around it are. So I'm going to give it a 6 because I think there's they've probably got some more interesting stuff than just banging on about Loch Ness Monster.
Fair enough.
Reach. So, Reach Through Time. Very long Aboriginal stuff. I've not heard of it. I think it's known in Australia probably quite broadly because you
would think so.
It's not that many people and haven't got much to talk about.
There's only about 50 of them.
Yeah, something like that. On a good day. But I don't know that it's known elsewhere, particularly. It seemed like quite local to Australia. It's like a national one.
I think you're right.
But it's got the reach through time, so for that I'm going to give it a 5-0.
Yeah, I'm not going to add much to that. I think it's similar premise. I don't think it's known really outside of Australia. And even they refer much more to the more famous one in Scotland. But it has been there've been sort of stories about it around for thousands of years. So I'll give it a 5 for that as well.
That gives us an overall score of 41, right in the middle of the bell curve.
A bit more than I thought it'd be.
Yeah, not too bad. Not
too a thin one, but yeah.
Hey, the system's there for a reason, Neil. We absolutely can't let our emotions. Can't let our emotions cloud this, Neil.
No,
we're doing this for
got to be objective.
An as yet unquantified reason.
Like Rex, King of the Naturalists, we're just plugging away year on year in our pointless endeavour
until death's sweet embrace,
sweet release of.
So if you are the Moolyewonk, then please get in touch at legendspodcasts@gmail.com. I know you won't. And we have a Twitter account if you want to follow us, which is Legends Urbane. Oh, Urban. Sorry. No, it is Urbane. It is. Yeah, it's Urbane, not Urban. Yeah. Anyway, it's the name the other way around. But yeah, so, I'm kind of swinging wildly from apologising to Australia to then also being annoyed that they keep just claiming other stuff, like saying, "Oh, this is our Loch Ness Monster, this is our Bigfoot." So I don't know. I'm going to stay neutral. I'm going to say, it is. The podcast was what it was. Keep your opinions to yourself. And on that, I will wish you all a good week. And we'll be back at the same time
next
everyone.
Week. Have a good one.
Take care. Bye-bye.